The year was 2247, and humanity stood before the Galactic Council for the first time. The massive chamber floated in space, a structure so large it could be seen from distant star systems. Inside, representatives from hundreds of alien species gathered to judge Earth's worthiness to join their civilization. Ambassador Park Miho walked slowly to the center platform. He was a tall man with graying hair and tired eyes. Behind him stood Captain Lee Jaiwan, a military officer forced to wear civilian clothes for this meeting. The weight of representing all humanity pressed down on both their shoulders. The Valerian High Magistrate looked down at them from his elevated seat. His silver skin gleamed under the chamber lights, and his 3 eyes studied the humans with obvious distrust. "We have reviewed your species' history," he announced, his voice echoing through the vast hall. "You are violent. You have fought 17 major wars in the last century alone. You have created weapons capable of destroying your own planet." Park Miho said nothing. What could he say? It was all true. The Krith ambassador clicked her mandibles together, producing a sound that the translation device rendered as laughter. Her insect-like body shifted in her seat. They even fight among themselves over invisible lines drawn on maps. How can such a species be trusted with advanced technology? The Thelmar representative, an amphibious being whose skin constantly glistened with moisture, raised one webbed hand. "The question is not whether they have been violent. The question is whether they can change." For 3 hours the debate continued. Park Miho answered their questions honestly. Yes, humans had fought wars. Yes, they had created terrible weapons. But they had also achieved peace, built magnificent cities, created beautiful art, and reached for the stars despite all their flaws. Finally, the Valerian High Magistrate called for silence. "We will permit Earth to join the Galactic Council," he declared. "However, there will be strict conditions." Park Miho felt his heart sink. He knew what was coming. "Humanity will be forbidden from constructing any military-grade warships," the magistrate continued. "You may have defensive satellites around your home world. You may have small patrol craft with limited weapons for police work. But you will not build vessels of war. This restriction will remain in place until the Council determines your species has evolved beyond its violent nature. This may take centuries." Back on Earth, Captain Lee Jaiwan met with other military officers in a secret location. Among them was Commander Choi Dae, a brilliant tactical officer, and Lieutenant Kong Sora, who specialized in spacecraft engineering. "They've neutered us," Choi Dae said angrily, slamming his fist on the table. "We're defenseless." "Not entirely," Lieutenant Kong Sora replied quietly. She pulled up a holographic display. "The treaty forbids military warships. It says nothing about civilian vessels with certain capabilities." Lee Jaiwan leaned forward, interested. "Go on. What if we build ships that look like cargo haulers or mining vessels?" Kong Sora asked. "Ships with modular designs. Ships that can be quickly converted if needed." "That's deceptive," someone said. "That's survival," Lee Jaiwan corrected. "They've left us no choice." Over the following months, plans began to take shape. Dr. Yoon Tae, a physicist working at a research facility on Mars, started designing mining lasers that could easily be weaponized. Engineer Kim Hanna drew up blueprints for cargo containers that could hold missile systems. Everything had dual purposes. The Galactic Council sent inspectors regularly. They examined Earth's shipyards and found only civilian vessels under construction. They reviewed humanity's space stations and saw only mining operations and research facilities. Everything appeared legitimate. What they didn't see were the hidden construction sites deep in asteroid fields. What they didn't notice were the military officers being trained under the guise of merchant marine academies. What they failed to understand was that humanity had learned something valuable. Sometimes survival requires creativity. Ambassador Park Miho signed the Treaty of Ashera with a steady hand. As he placed his signature on the document, he thought about the secret facilities already under construction in the Kuiper Belt. He thought about the young officers learning tactics in hidden academies. He thought about the weapons being disguised as tools. The galaxy had forbidden humanity from building warships. So humanity would build something else. Something better. Something the Council would never expect until it was too late. The treaty was signed. The restrictions were in place. And humanity's real work was just beginning. Captain Lee Jaiwan floated through the dimly lit corridor of what appeared to be an ordinary mining station. Her magnetic boots clicked softly against the metal floor as she made her way deeper into the asteroid. Above her head, a sign read Kuiper Belt Mining Operation 7. To any inspector from the Galactic Council, This place looked exactly like dozens of other human mining facilities scattered throughout the solar system. But Captain Lee knew better. She reached a thick blast door and placed her hand on the security scanner. The door hissed open, revealing a massive cavern that had been hollowed out from the inside of the dwarf planet Eris. What she saw inside made her smile. The UHSV Pioneer Spirit hung suspended in the center of the cavern. The ship was enormous, nearly a kilometer long, and it looked exactly like a colony transport vessel. Its hull was painted with bright civilian colors and identification numbers. Large cargo bays dotted its sides, ready to carry supplies to distant human settlements. Beautiful, isn't she? Commander Choi Dae appeared beside Lee, his eyes gleaming with pride. The council inspectors approved her design last month. They think she's just another colony ship. And the modifications? Lee asked. Choi Dae grinned. Come, I'll show you. They took a small shuttle across to the Pioneer Spirit and boarded through a maintenance hatch. Inside, Choi led Lee through corridors that seemed perfectly normal. Crew quarters, medical bay, life support systems. Everything a colony ship should have. Then Choi pressed his hand against what looked like a simple wall panel. The panel slid away, revealing a hidden passage. The entire ship is like this, Choi explained as they walked through the secret corridor. Every cargo container can be ejected and replaced within 4 hours. Underneath the civilian containers are military-grade missile batteries, railguns, and fighter launch bays. They entered a vast chamber where engineers in white suits worked on rows of sleek missiles. Lieutenant Kang Sora was supervising the work, her tablet glowing in her hands. Lieutenant, Lee called out. Status report? Kang Sora walked over, wiping sweat from her forehead. We're on schedule, Captain. The fusion reactor looks civilian on paper, but we can overclock it to 3 times normal power output. The navigation deflectors are actually military-grade shield generators. Even the sensor array has been modified, it can track targets across half a solar system. What about the fighters? Lee asked. Kang Sora gestured to another section of the hidden bay. We have 200 combat fighters stored in compartments the Council thinks are full of colonist cryopods. Each fighter is disguised as a cargo shuttle until we activate their weapon systems. Lee walked among the missiles and weapons systems, her mind racing. Everything was hidden in plain sight. The mining lasers on human ships could cut through asteroids, or enemy hulls. The cargo haulers could carry supplies, or thousands of armed soldiers. Even the survey drones humanity used for exploration could be reprogrammed as weapons. Dr. Yoon Tae emerged from a workshop, his white coat stained with grease. Captain Lee. Perfect timing. I want to show you something. He led her to a testing chamber where a small device sat on a table. This is officially classified as a plasma torch for industrial use, he explained. But watch what happens when we adjust the focusing array. He activated the device. Instead of a wide cutting beam, it produced a tight, devastating bolt of energy that punched through a thick metal plate like paper. Every tool we've built has 2 purposes, Dr. Yoon said quietly. The Council sees civilian equipment. We see weapons. Over the next 3 hours, Lee toured the facility. She saw engineers like Kim Hanna working on modular ship designs. She met pilots training in simulators disguised as navigation trainers. She inspected weapons that looked like mining equipment and armor that appeared to be construction gear. How many facilities like this do we have? Lee asked Commander Choi as they returned to the main observation deck. 47, Choi replied. Hidden in asteroids, on moons, even in the clouds of Saturn. The Council has no idea. They inspect our official shipyards and see only civilian vessels. They never think to look in places they consider worthless rocks. Lee stared at the Pioneer Spirit through the observation window. The ship looked peaceful, almost boring. A simple colony transport that would carry families to new worlds. But she knew the truth. With 4 hours of work, this ship could transform into a warship capable of fighting entire fleets. And humanity had dozens more just like it under construction. The Galactic Council thinks they've disarmed us, Lee said softly. Choi Dae smiled. They have no idea what's coming. The distress signal from New Johannesburg came at 0400 hours Earth Standard Time. Captain Lee Jaiwan was drinking coffee in her quarters aboard the Pioneer Spirit when the emergency alert shattered the quiet morning. Her hands shook as she read the message on her tablet. Colony under attack. Requesting immediate assistance. They're everywhere. Please send help. Then the signal went dead. Lee ran to the bridge, still in her sleep clothes. Commander Choi Dae was already there, his face pale as he stared at the screens. We're receiving scattered reports from other ships in the sector, he said. The Krith have attacked New Johannesburg with a full swarm fleet. How many colonists? Lee asked, though she dreaded the answer. 40,000 people lived on that colony, Choi replied quietly. We don't know how many survived. Lee slammed her fist on the console. Get Admiral Kim Miho on the line. And wake up every captain in the Shadow Fleet. Within hours, the situation became clear. The Krith, an insectoid species with ships grown from organic material, had decided humanity's frontier colonies were easy targets. Their bioships had descended on New Johannesburg like a plague of locusts. The colony's defense platforms had lasted only 12 minutes against the swarm. Ambassador Park Miho, now very old and confined to a wheelchair, addressed the Galactic Council from Earth. His voice trembled with barely controlled rage. We request immediate military intervention under the protection clauses of the Treaty of Ashera. Human citizens are dying while we speak. The Valerian High Magistrate looked uncomfortable. The Council must debate this matter properly. We cannot simply debate. Park interrupted, his voice rising. How long will you debate while my people are slaughtered? How many must die before you act? The Thelmar representative spoke softly. The Krith are simply expanding their territory. This is within their rights under galactic law. Park stared at them in disbelief. Expanding their territory? They're murdering civilians. Children. The Council will review the matter and vote within 30 days, the Valerian magistrate announced. That is our decision. Park Miho returned to Earth broken and furious. He met with Admiral Kim Miho in a secure room deep beneath the capital. The Admiral was a stern woman in her 50s, with sharp eyes and graying hair tied in a tight bun. They won't help us, Park said simply. Admiral Kim nodded slowly. Then we invoke Article 7 of the treaty. The right to self-defense when Council protection fails. That will expose everything we've built, Park warned. The shadow yards, the hidden weapons, all of it. I know, Admiral Kim replied. But what choice do we have? The Krith are already moving toward Perseverance Colony. They'll attack within a week. If we don't act, thousands more will die. Park closed his eyes. After 50 years of careful planning, of hiding and building in secret, the moment had arrived. Do it, he said. Activate all shadow yards. Prepare the fleet. The message went out on encrypted channels across human space. In asteroid facilities, on hidden moon bases, in stations disguised as research outposts, humans received the order. Engineers like Kim Hanna began the transformation protocols. Weapons were loaded. Pilots climbed into fighters. Ships that had pretended to be peaceful merchants revealed their true nature. The Krith swarm detected the human fleet approaching Perseverance Colony and felt confident. Their biosensors showed only cargo vessels and mining ships. No warships. No military fleet. Just soft targets waiting to be consumed. The Krith Queen, commanding from her massive hive ship, clicked her mandibles in satisfaction. These humans are weak. They send merchant vessels to fight us. We will feast on their colonies for generations. Her subordinates agreed. The human ships looked harmless. Large, slow cargo haulers. Small mining vessels. Nothing threatening at all. Lieutenant Kong Sora stood on the bridge of the Pioneer Spirit as they entered the Perseverance system. Around them, dozens of other civilian ships maintained formation. She looked at Captain Lee Jaiwan, who sat calmly in the command chair. Captain, Kong said quietly, the Krith swarm has detected us. They're moving to intercept. Good, Lee replied. Her voice was cold as ice. Let them come. They think we're merchants and miners. Let's show them what humans really are. She pressed a button on her console. All ships, this is Captain Lee. Begin transformation sequence. Drop your mask. It's time these insects learned why the galaxy feared us. Across the human fleet, cargo containers began to detach from ships. Hidden panels slid open, revealing weapons that should not exist. The Pioneer Spirit shed its civilian disguise like a butterfly emerging from a cocoon. The Krith swarm suddenly realized their terrible mistake. The Krith swarm had never seen anything like it. One moment they faced a fleet of harmless cargo ships. The next moment, those ships transformed into something nightmarish. The Pioneer Spirit led the transformation. Massive cargo containers explosively detached from the hull, tumbling away into space. Beneath them, rows of railgun batteries emerged, their barrels gleaming in the starlight. Hangar doors that had been invisible moments before slid open along the ship's sides. Fighter craft poured out like angry hornets. Captain Lee Jaiwan watched her tactical display as the entire human fleet revealed itself. All weapon systems online, Lieutenant Kong Sora reported. Shields at maximum power. Fighter wings launching now. Target the lead hive ships, Lee ordered. Show them we're not prey anymore. The Pioneer Spirit's main railgun charged with a deep humming sound that vibrated through the entire vessel. Engineer Kim Hanna monitored the power levels from the engineering deck. Reactor at 300% normal output, she called out. All systems green. Firing solution locked. Fire, Lee said quietly. The railgun discharged with tremendous force. A solid metal projectile, accelerated to 30% the speed of light, crossed the distance between the human fleet and the Krith swarm in seconds. The round punched through the first Krith hive ship completely, the organic hull offering no resistance. It continued through 2 more bioships behind it before finally tumbling off into deep space. 3 massive Krith vessels exploded in brilliant flashes of green fire. The Krith Queen screamed in rage and confusion from her command ship. Oh, the humans have no weapons. The Council forbade them. They lied, one of her officers clicked back. We are under heavy attack. Commander Choi Dae commanded a squadron of converted mining vessels. His ships looked small and harmless, but each one carried plasma torpedoes disguised as mining charges. All ships target their medium cruisers. Fire at will. Dozens of torpedoes streaked across the void, leaving trails of superheated plasma. The Krith bioships tried to maneuver, but they were designed for attacking defenseless colonies, not fighting a prepared military force. The torpedoes slammed into their organic hulls, burning through flesh and chitin. Fighter pilot Lieutenant Park Jun led his squadron through the chaos of battle. His craft had been disguised as a simple cargo shuttle for 5 years. Now it moved like a predator, its weapon systems fully active. Stay in formation, he called to his pilots. These bugs outnumber us 10 to 1. We need to be smart. The Krith deployed their own fighter organisms, living creatures bred specifically for space combat. They swarmed toward the human fighters in clouds of thousands. Park Jun smiled grimly. They think numbers will win. Let's teach them about human tactics. All wings execute pattern Delta. The human fighters suddenly split into smaller groups, each one moving with precision. They had trained for this moment in secret for decades. Every pilot knew exactly what to do. They led the Krith fighters into kill zones where the larger human ships could fire on them. They used hit-and-run attacks, never staying in one place long enough to be overwhelmed. Dr. Yoon Tae watched the battle from a weapons control station deep inside the Pioneer Spirit. His industrial plasma torches were being fired as rapidly as the systems could recharge. Each shot cut through Krith bioships like a knife through paper. Weapons performing above expected parameters, he reported with satisfaction. The bugs never stood a chance. The Krith Queen realized too late that her swarm had flown into a trap. These were not the helpless humans her intelligence had described. These humans fought with discipline, with strategy, with weapons that should not exist. Retreat, she ordered, her voice shrill with panic. All ships retreat to hyperspace. But Captain Lee Jaiwan was not finished. All ships pursue and destroy. Don't let them regroup. I want every Krith vessel that attacked our colonies eliminated. The human fleet pressed forward. Modified cargo haulers unleashed missile swarms. Mining ships that should only carry drilling equipment fired directed energy weapons. Even the support vessels carried combat drones that harassed the fleeing Krith. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it ended, 70% of the Krith swarm had been destroyed. The survivors fled into hyperspace, broadcasting warnings in their clicking language on all frequencies. Commander Choi Dae translated the message for Captain Lee. They're warning other Krith hives. They're saying humans have teeth and claws. They're saying not to attack human colonies. Lee stared at the tactical display showing the wreckage of Krith bioships floating in space. She thought of the 40,000 people who died at New Johannesburg. The children who would never grow up. The families destroyed. Good, she said coldly. Let them warn everyone. Let the whole galaxy know. Humans are not prey. Not anymore. Lieutenant Kong Sora approached with a concerned expression. Captain, we're receiving multiple transmissions from the Galactic Council. They're demanding to know what happened here. They're asking about our ships and weapons. Lee smiled without humor. Tell them we defended ourselves with civilian equipment. Mining lasers, cargo vessels, survey drones. All perfectly legal under the treaty. But Captain? The treaty forbade warships, Lieutenant. We didn't build warships. We built cargo haulers that happened to carry weapons. There's a difference. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so tense. Every species representative sat in uncomfortable silence as holographic images played on the massive screens. The images showed human ships transforming from civilian vessels into weapons of war. They showed the destruction of the Krith swarm. They showed humanity's hidden strength revealed for all to see. The Valerian High Magistrate's face was deep purple with rage. This is an outrage. Humanity has violated the Treaty of Ashera. They built weapons of war in secret. They must be punished immediately. Other council members shouted in agreement. The chamber filled with angry voices in dozens of alien languages. Some demanded Earth be expelled from the council. Others wanted humanity's colonies seized. A few even suggested military action against Earth itself. Then Ambassador Park Miho rolled his wheelchair to the center of the chamber. He was very old now, his hair completely white, his hands shaking with age. But his eyes burned with fierce determination. "Silence," he said quietly. The translation systems carried his voice to every corner of the vast chamber. "I will speak now and you will listen." The Valerian magistrate began to object, but the Thelmar representative raised a webbed hand. "Let the human speak. We should hear his defense before we pass judgment." Park Miho activated a holographic display. Images appeared showing the attack on New Johannesburg. Bodies of children lay in the streets. Homes burned. Families destroyed. 40,000 humans died here, Park said, his voice steady despite his anger. "We came to you, the Galactic Council, and begged for help. We asked you to protect us as the treaty promised. Do you remember what you did?" The chamber remained silent. "You debated," Park continued. "You discussed. You voted to form committees to study the situation. While you talked, our people died. The treaty said you would protect us. You failed. You abandoned us to be slaughtered." The Valerian magistrate shifted uncomfortably in his seat. The situation was complex. "We needed time to—" "Time?" Park's voice rose. "You needed time while colonists were being murdered? Tell me, magistrate, how much time did the children of New Johannesburg have before the Krith killed them?" No one answered. Park changed the holographic display. Now it showed blueprints of human ships. "You forbade us from building warships. So we didn't. Look closely at these designs. Every vessel serves a legitimate civilian purpose. The Pioneer Spirit is registered as a colony transport. It carries colonists, supplies, and equipment. That it can also defend itself is simply good design. But the weapons," someone objected. "Are industrial tools," Park interrupted. "Mining lasers, cargo handling systems, navigation equipment. All perfectly legal under the treaty. We followed every rule you imposed on us. The fact that these civilian tools can also be used for defense is not our fault. It's your failure for writing a poorly worded treaty." Captain Lee Jaiwan stood beside Park, now wearing her full military uniform for the first time in public. "We asked for the right to defend ourselves. You denied us. We asked for protection. You failed us. So we did what humans have always done. We survived. We adapted. We found a way." The Krith ambassador, who had been silent until now, clicked her mandibles nervously. "The human fleet destroyed 70% of our swarm. They fought with precision and skill. This was not civilians defending themselves. This was a trained military force." Admiral Kim Miho stepped forward. "Of course it was. Did you think we would forget how to fight just because you forbade us warships? We trained our people. We developed tactics. We prepared for the day you would fail to protect us. That day came sooner than we expected." The Thelmar representative spoke, their voice calm and thoughtful. "Perhaps we made a mistake. We tried to cage a species simply because they know how to fight. But fighting ability is not evil. The Krith attacked human colonies without provocation. The humans defended themselves. Where is the crime in this?" "The crime is deception," the Valerian magistrate insisted. "They built weapons in secret." "No," Park Miho said firmly. "We built tools in secret. The fact that you see them as weapons says more about your paranoia than our intentions. Every species in this chamber has the ability to defend itself. You denied only humanity that right. What? Because we were honest about our violent past? Because we didn't hide our history?" Engineer Kim Hanna transmitted data to the Council's systems. "Here are the complete technical specifications of every human vessel. Review them yourselves. You'll find that everything we built has legitimate civilian applications. We broke no laws. We violated no treaty clauses. We simply refused to be helpless." The debate continued for 3 days. Legal experts examined the treaty word by word. Some argued humanity had violated the spirit of the agreement even if not the letter. Others pointed out that the Council's failure to protect human colonies invalidated the treaty's restrictions. Finally, a compromise emerged. The Treaty of Ashera would be amended. Humanity would be allowed defensive military capabilities suitable for protecting their colonies and trade routes. In exchange, Earth agreed to limits on certain weapons systems and accepted Council observers to monitor their shipyards. It wasn't everything humanity wanted, but it was enough. As Park Miho left the Council chamber, he smiled to himself. The Shadow Yards were already designing new ships that would technically comply with the amended treaty. Humanity had learned a valuable lesson about galactic politics. The strong made the rules. The clever survived despite them. Admiral Kim Miho stood on Earth watching the stars. Somewhere out there, the Krith were warning others about humanity. Word was spreading. The soft species had teeth. The weak species had claws. Other species began approaching human engineers, asking about their dual-purpose ship designs. Pirates who had once preyed on merchant vessels now avoided systems where human ships patrolled. The galaxy was learning respect. Commander Choi Day raised his glass in the officers' mess aboard the Pioneer Spirit. To humanity, he toasted. They told us not to build warships. So we built something better. The other officers raised their glasses. To human ingenuity, they replied. The Council had tried to keep humanity defenseless. Instead, they had taught humanity to be creative. And creativity, it turned out, was far more dangerous than any weapon.